Hi, this is a Visual C++ scientific calculator. So let me show you guys how it works there. And we can then let's convert it to scientific. With the scientific, let's clear that and enter some value in there, right there, clear. Okay, so it actually works like any other scientific calculator. Okay, we can also go for the temperature converter in there. Let's say -40. -40 should always be -40. Let's select one of those right there. Now we can reset and go back to our either scientific or go back to standard. And we also have history there. Check out the history right there. So what I will do now is to take you guys straight into Visual C++ development environment, and we put one of these together. So let's do that now. Hi and welcome to Visual C++ scientific calculator. This new calculator that I'll be developing is at the request of someone online. Okay, I agreed I've never done something scientific calculator on Visual C++ before. So let's give it a try today. So that's the name of my file. It's going to be called VCC Scientific Calculator. Let's try that again. I'm actually using Visual Studio 2015. Okay, so I'm going to select Visual C++ right there. Okay, I need the form actually. So let's come right there and get that installed. Yeah, there we go. That's the form there. It's there. So that's fine. So I'm going to click on OK now. Yeah, everything looks good. Okay, I think the system is ready now. So let me click on Solution Explorer right there. That's my form header right there. Okay, now let's look for the property there. The first thing I want to do is let me change the size to about 1182, right, comma, let's go for about 430 something there. So that's the form there. Then let's come to the tools and get a menu on board. I'm gonna need one. Let's come down here right there. That's the menu straight there. Okay, I'm gonna need file here, standard calculator, and let's go for scientific here, scientific. Then let's go for history. Come on, let's change that. I'll come to the property and just correct it. There's the text right there. I'm going to need another history because I actually want it to be two. One will be used to disguise the look of the other one. Maybe here, let's enter, maybe exit here, and we'll take care of that later on anyway. And the next thing is maybe let's get an edit here and help. All right. Okay, we need buttons right here, or maybe enter a couple of lines of code to make this work first. Okay, let's put some buttons first. I need a text box, one text box. I may have to swap that, but I don't know. Let's get some buttons in place. We don't need a lot of those. Okay, that's a button there. And I'll start by defining the size of my button. So let's come to the property and just define the size of this button. 67 by maybe 63. Okay, then let's come down, come up here and then change that to something readable, 14. Get rid of the content in there. think I'm gonna have to give all these buttons a name. This will be BTN7, and just enter number 7 in there, right there. Okay, bring it down. The text box will be somewhere here. Change this to multi-line so that I can get it adjusted, and drag it about that. Okay, now let's copy this, move this up, copy the button, hold down the control and just there. We'll need 4 of those. Okay, so we need another 4 here. 5, let's go for 5. Right. Okay, so that's the basic calculator taking shape already. Alright, so we'll need the scientific part of it. So let's just copy this and paste it right there. There. The other thing that we might need, or that we will need, is to design this very side. Let me enter maybe a panel right there for now. We don't need a panel there. That is for other, okay, other form of conversion. That's my panel there. All right. Okay, save that, and let's just write 1 or 2 lines of code on this form, then try it out. So for the form load, let's go for, let's find out the name. Okay, I think the name of this form is my form. Let's paste that in there. My form, double column. Let's find the width. All right, that's the width, equals, let's go for maybe 300, and you enter a column there. Now let's get the width of the height of my form. My form, column height there. I'm going to make that the height that I set while I was designing the interface. Okay, what about my display, the text box? Let's come here and find out the width of the text box, and maybe give that a name as well. The text box, let's change that to txt display. Right, let's copy that. Now we need the width of this text box. Let's see, I think it's 286. Back in there, double click on the form. So I'm in a text box, column, no, yeah, width equals 286. That is for now. Now I have 2 of these. Let me get the name of this very one. Let's come to the property, get the name of that one. Okay, I'm going to hide 1 while 1 is visible. So paste that underneath there. Let's go for the visible value equals false. Okay, there. All right, for now. So those are just the initial lines of codes. All right, and underneath here, I might as well just sort that out. I'm going to say I number. That would be, let's say double. Double, that's my variable there. First one. I'm going to need another one. 2, 3, 4. This one is going to be second number, and this one is going to be I result. Why this one should be maybe A. I just enter A in there. Let's change this to lowercase and see. I think it's, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Now let's go for string. Yeah, let me come in for an operator there. Where is this? Yeah, there we go. I operator. Oh, let me float some other variable that I'm going to need. That'll be Celsius, comma, and I need one for Fahrenheit. I Fahrenheit. I think the spelling is right. It should be an H, something like that. Yeah. Then I Kelvin. Okay. There. Now let's go for each. Let's just call that I operations with an S. All right. For now, those are the variables I intend to use. I have a couple of those in there. Okay, with the form load, let me see what we've done so far with the form. So right now, this is how the form looks like. Okay, so if I run it, or maybe enter lines of code in here first. So exit. Think, yeah, that's that taken care of. So let's come to build, and then we take it from there. Yeah, it seems to be successful. So click on run there. Okay, that's how it looks now. That should be off about that, and this should be maybe off about this, but that's no problem. All I need to do is just to move in these buttons. Okay, that's how it looks right now until I click on maybe scientific and so on. All right, let's take care of the scientific before taking care of the design of the interface. Come in here, select the scientific, double click on the scientific, and right there, right here, press enter and enter the following lines of codes. So I'm just going to grab this, paste it right there, and let's change this to maybe 600. Then the display is that there, maybe change this to about 500 plus. Yeah. Now right here, maybe I should add something else here. Yeah, okay, maybe move this down. I think I'm going to need maybe temperature here. Temperature converter. Yeah, let's see if we can do this. Yeah, yes we can. The spelling seems wrong. Let's correct that. Come back in here and just sort that out. Yeah, temperature. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now let's double click on, supposing is the temperature we want, double click on that as well. So right in here, change the width of the form. Just gonna copy all of this so that will stay the same. Change this to 1161, and the width of this remains the same. Okay, that is that. Let's see there. Okay, let's just run it first and see what we've done. Rebuild. Okay, that's successful. And click on that right there. Scientific, temperature, but we don't have this back. Okay, let's come back here, the standard one, copy everything inside here. Yeah, copy this and paste that right inside standard there. Now build again, run. Okay, scientific, temperature, scientific, and standard. Good. Alright, so what I'll do next is I'll just speed up the design of this interface, make it look how it's meant to look, then I'll get back to you guys. Okay, this is how the interface is looking now, but there are some that I need to show you guys how I'm going to go about creating them. Something like pi. So let's come in here. So right there, I'm in Word. I'll come in here and just get a pi right there. Okay, and I will insert it. I'm going to also need this. So let's go back to the symbol and just select that as well, the plus minus sign right there. This is it there, right there. I think that is from the font center. So I'm going to copy this. It's changed though, but I'm going to copy it and just change it to center. Copy that and come right in here and paste it in there. Then change my font here to center. Let's see, right there. Okay, maybe increase the font size a little bit. Okay, that is it, center. But that's not what I want. Let me go back into Word. I want something totally different. Come back in there. No, I don't want that. Undo that. Symbol. There we go. Right there. Close that. Copy this. And paste that in here. Right there. That's what I want. The next thing that I need is, I need this very one. The plus minus sign. And I'm going to paste that in here. Yeah, let's increase the font as well so that it's a little bit more visible. Okay, maybe make that 20. Right, it's more pronounced. Alright, so that's how we do that. Now one other thing left is to add an arrow there. So let's go to back to Word. I'm going to select this. I think I might know where I can get the arrows. Let me go to, I think, Wingens right here, right there. Let's see. Should be able to get an arrow here somewhere. There we go. So the choice is yours, really. Whichever you want or whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to go for that one. No, come back down. Maybe this. Yeah, that also denotes clear. So I'm going to go for that. Copy it and come right in here. Paste it in there. Change the font now. Let's change it to Wingens. I think it's this. Is it Weddings? Alright. Oh no, I think it's the one below. This very one. Okay, there. Alright, that's taken care of. Now you guys get the whole idea of how to create those things. Now the next thing is I'm going to select all of these. So let's select it all and group it as one event. So come right here, that's it, event. Select that and go to the click event there. So I'm just going to call that button, maybe lowercase, button underscore click. There. I will now enter some lines of code that will identify all of the content on those buttons. So I'll start by creating an object there. So let's say button. Let me call it numbers. So that's the name of my object, equals self underscore create cast. There we go. All right, that'll be button, less than button, and we need to enter. Okay, greater than, then ask the sender to take care of that. Enter a semicolon there. Then let's say if txt display there equals 0. Okay, there should be a text box here. There should be text, yeah, equals 0. Then I want this text display, txt display, paste that there, equals whatever number I have in here, equals numbers. So the number I'm referring to is right on my buttons, else txt display equals txt display plus number, this very number there, and that's all there is to it. If I click on that, that will generate my numbers. Okay, have a good look at this line of code. An object, if the text box is 0, then this one equals number, else number equals number. Okay, which means add upon number. I'm right there. Okay, so if I run it now, let's build. We need to build it first. Okay, that's successful. Now you get my numbers there. If I click, and you see that, guys, just with those few lines of code, instead of writing long line of code, we just use that to take care of that. Okay, while we're here, let's take care of clear. Just take care of that now. Undo that. Undo. We need a text box. I think, let's see if clear work in here. Yeah, it does. That's it. I think there should be a parenthesis there. Okay, that's fine. That's working. So copy that. Come in here and paste that as well. So that's for clear, taken care of. All right. Okay, let's take care of the decimal right here. Double click on that. Press enter right there. And just use if statement for that. If it is not, txt display text contains equals this. Now there's no need for space. Let's put that back. Okay, so if it's not that and it contains that, so let's calm down. So txt display equals txt display plus, let's add our decimal point. That's it. You see this line of code here, and this will generate the decimal. So let me even enter decimal point right there. And this is for clear. This is buttons, numbers. Okay, now the last one here, this, I'm going to group all of these operators, and I'll then give them a name. Let's come into the properties, select the event, come to the click event. So let's call that arithmetic underscore operator. there. So that is the line, or that's the name of those variables or events. That's the name of those events. So I'm going to call these operators. Operators. Okay, so let's create an object as well. So let's say button ups equals, that's the name of the event, is called ups. Okay, equals save cars less than button greater than, and sender right there. This should be double T. Okay, now first number, right, a variable first number equals double plus, yeah, right there, and txt display dot text. That's it. Enter semicolon there. Okay, so let's say txt display equals clear. Now let's call my operator right there, I operator, this very one, equals up whatever is in there on the text button there. So that is it. That's something I should do. Let's come in here. I would like the calculator to display what operator is taking place here. So let's come in here and just select. Let's come for label. I think label should do that job. Yeah, and I will paste that in here. Come right here. Okay, maybe somewhere there. I'll move it down a little bit. Can always tab it down. Now here, let's come to the back color of that label and change the property, change the back color to white. Back color white. Yeah, I think that's white on this. Okay, now let's give it a name. I'm gonna call that, I'm gonna call it LBL show. Let's say show up. There, that's the name of that label. Copy the name there. You see this very label. Let me go back inside these operators right here. Now I need to call it here, and text value equals system column convert column to text to string, whatever is inside first number, close the bracket, plus space, plus ups operator, this very one, and there, that's it, taken care of. All right, so have a good look at that, those lines of code. That's the line of code, the lines of code for the operators on the calculator. Now we need to take care of this. this and this. So let's double click on the plus minus. The plus minus, let me copy this decimal whatever here, copy that and come right here. This plus minus, paste that in there and change as follows. Get rid of this, get rid of that, and just change this to plus minus, and here change this one to minus sign, and right in here where it says display equals that, we're going to change that to, we're going to change all of these to remove, and that will be remove 0, 1. Okay, else this is what I want you to do. Copy all of this and paste it there, right there. So this one equals plus minus plus that and semicolon there. Okay, now let's come back in here. You see this text box, let's change it, realign it. Come down here, align, make that right. Okay, now we've done all of this. We now need to take care of the equals. Double click on the equals and enter the following lines of codes. Okay, before we take care of the equals, let's come in here and let me add something for my history. Where is it? I need a list box right here. So let's copy a list box and just paste that here for now. That will be for my history, or maybe right underneath here. Okay, increase the size of this for now. Let's see. That's the history box. Bring it down a little bit. Be a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Let's close that right there for now. So I have my list box in there, as you can see. So double click on the equals, and right there, this is how the lines of code looks like for the equals. This is where all the calculation is taking place, right there. Okay, guess you guys can see that. I want every single clicks to appear on the history there. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so that is, or those are the lines of code for the equals. So I'm going to run it and see. For now, let me uncomment this. So let's run it so that you guys see it. Right, so this is my, I think I'm going to need to extend this a little bit more. Yeah, this is how this looks for now. Or maybe let's close it and come back in here. What's the size of this? We need a size 266. Double click on the font, 266. Right, that's fine now. I think I'm going to make the same adjustment somewhere here. Okay, now run it again. There. So if I enter anything in there now, right there, okay, you can see. Okay, you see my LBL show operator That's it, doing its own thing there. Okay, that is fine. All right, let me show you guys one thing. I need this to show me the history. So to do that, I've already added all the history in there. Let's go back in here, double click on this, and here those are the history. All of my clicks is supposed to appear inside the list box. So I'll comment this out so that you can see the history. Okay, with the history, let's double click on here. There, those are the lines of code for the first history. Okay, now for the second history right here. So let me double click on it so that you see it. This one, double click on that, and here those are the lines of code for that. I just have to speed it up because this video is getting too long. All right, but before this thing can work, you see this one here? If you look inside this code, I've used an if statement if it's checked. So you must come in here, right click on the history and check it. And that's all there is to it. So if I run it now, but before then, let's set the property of this form. Let's come to start position. Let's get that centered. And now build. Okay. There's no error so far, so run it. And there, I'll move it a little bit up. Click on the history, and right there, that is the history there. So anything I select should be there on the history. So if I say 9 plus 6 equals that, so when I come into the history, I should see that. Okay, so let's close the history again, and maybe something else. Okay, maybe right there. So let's check our history again. There you can see the history of everything I'm doing, and that is how the history works. So that is working. We just need to move this down a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Let's move this here a little bit. Maybe about that. Build. Let's build it again and see how it looks like. Then we just continue with the rest. Now scientific. Okay, maybe a little bit more. All right, that's looking good. Now we need to take care of the backslash. Double click on that. I'm writing here, enter as follows. And right there, those are the lines of code for the backslash. Okay, guys. Now, I think the standard calculator is all taken care of. Let's see. Now, we can enter whatever in there, and there, that's good. Yeah, the standard calculator is working as we want. Clear. Okay, and let's check out the history right there. Close that. Okay, so let's take care of the scientific part of it just here. So I'm going to take care of these ones because these ones are easy to take care of. Well, not because of that though, but okay. The pi. Double click on the pi, and I'm just going to make that up. So right in here, copy this and paste all of those pi right in there. Okay, I've made that up. That is the pi. All right. So if I run it, so the pi should, let's build first. Okay, we need the scientific part of it. right there. That's the pi. That's taken care of. Okay, so we need logarithm and so on too. All right, we just speed that up as well. Okay, the logarithm part of it is just been taken care of. That those are the lines of code there. So I just enter log in there. So from here down here, those are the lines of code for the logarithm. And if you notice, I've also added the data onto the history. That is the history right there. Okay. All right, so let's move on. The next thing I've done is I've also taken care of the square. That's it right there. Okay. There. Okay, those are the lines of code for that. The other one I'm going to show to you guys is to do with the cosine and so on. There they are. That's the sine h. Yep. I'll just put sine h there. Right there. Now followed by sine itself. There. And each of these lines of code, I've added them to the history as well. Okay, so let's go for denary, or you can just, that's the, as you can see, is the denary or decimal, whatever you want to call it. That's it right there. Those are the lines of codes for that. Now, let's see cosine h. Those are the lines of code for that. Come down here, cosine. The lines of code for cosine. I think it's better this way because me typing it out is taking a long time. So this is for the binary. Lines of code for binary. Now tangent h. Those are the lines of code for that as well. The whole codes are actually very similar. Now let's see the tangent right here. Okay, now come back down here. Hexadecimal. That is base 16. There. Now exponential is part of the operators and mode is part of the operator as well. All of those lines of code, you will see them. You must have seen them on the equals anyway. There they are. Mode, exponential. Okay. Now the next one is octal. Right there. Lines of code for octal. Okay, so those are the lines of code for the scientific part of it. The other thing I want to do is to change these ones. Okay, for the rest of the symbols, I think I'm going to have to do it my own way. So that would be x to power 2, and this will be x to power 3. X to power 3, and days. Let me just call that 1 divided by x. Right. And here, let's lean x. Alright, this one, let me make that the percentage sign. right there. Okay, let's see. Let's see how it will look if I send it up. No, it's not good. Leave it where it was. All right. No, let's change this. Yeah. Okay. Now, when I double click on this, this is the line of code for that one. So as you can see, A is converted to double. Whatever I see here is multiplied by this, okay? Because it's just square, we're multiplying it. So the other one, that's going to be times 3 anyway. So let's copy this. Come in here, double click on that. Press enter. Just enter that. Maybe copy one more. So that's 3 squared. Right. Okay. Guess you guys can see it. Let's move it in a little bit. Okay, you can see all the lines of code now. Okay, let's come back in here and double click on this very one. Alright, press enter, and there, those are the lines of code for that. So that will be that, and this will be, let's change that. Okay, that's that. Fine. I need to have a look at this. Okay, let's have a look at this log. There we go. Those are the lines of code for that. And finally, I have the lines of code for this right here. Okay, so let's have a look at everything. Let's take it all the way up so that you guys can see it. Yep. Those are the lines of codes. I suppose you are following though. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is let's design the final part of the interface, which is right here. I've already declared the variables here. Okay, so Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. So right here, let's get as follows. Maybe radio buttons. We're going to need 3 of those. One, let's increase the font size of that, maybe 14 bold. Right, and we can just copy that across. Yeah. Okay, let's change the font. Change the text there, so that will be Celsius to Fahrenheit there, and the other one will be Fahrenheit to Celsius. Just paste that in there and let's change it around. Okay, now the final one will be the Kelvin conversion there. Okay, maybe I should, let's add a list box to this thing, and maybe we need a button there, and we need another button. Okay, let's get the list box, and we're going to need another list box here and another button right here. Okay, move this down a little bit. Increase the font size of all of these components that I've just added. Let's change that to about 14 as well, 14 bold. Okay, this first one first. So maybe I should just speed this up. Let me speed it up. All that is left to do is for us to enter the following in each of the radio buttons. Okay, so that's the I operation equals C equals F here and equals K here. So let's double click on the convert button and just convert this things right there. Okay, those are the converted temperature. Okay, now let's come back here. I think we need to take care of the reset. Double click on that. Okay, with the reset we enter as follows. Now I think what might be left is just to try this out. So let's run debug it first. Let's see if there's any error. Okay, it seems to be working fine. So let's come in here, convert, and let's go to temperature right there. Okay, we're gonna need to move this in a little bit. So we enter whatever we want to convert, and the answer should be here somewhere. Okay, let's check that out. I think we have this in the wrong place. Cut that off. Yeah. Okay, we have the codes in the right place now. So let's give it a run again and see. Try this out. Enter a value in there and then convert it to, yeah, that's fine. Let's go for Kelvin and Celsius. Reset there. So that is working as expected. So let's have a look at scientific. Okay, with the scientific, I just need to enter, let's say I enter a value in there. Okay, let's enter, maybe that's fine as well. All right, so it's all working as we want. So let's see if these ones work. That's good. Right. Well, guys, with that, I'm just gonna call it the end of this long tutorial. I suppose you all enjoyed, but now let's see one thing. Let's see the history works as expected, and here let's take care of this as well. Now come right down here. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of the content inside the display itself. Right, that's gone. And maybe change the font size, maybe to 6. Okay, build, and that's it, guys. That is how you develop your own scientific calculator in Visual C++. I suppose you enjoyed. So with that, I'm gonna call it the end of this program, and you all have a nice day now. Bye for now.